Time being 6:30, I declare the meeting open. Persons in the gallery are advised that under the Local Government Act 1993, a person may not tape record the proceedings of a meeting of the council or committee without the authority of the council or committee. Tape recording includes a video camera and an electronic device capable of recording speech. Mobile phones must be turned off so as not to disrupt the meeting. Anyone, including councillors, found using a mobile phone will be told to leave the meeting immediately and for the duration of the said meeting. An audio recording of this meeting will be taken for minute-taking purposes as authorised by the Local Government Act 1993. This meeting is live streamed on Council's website to allow the community to follow council debates and decisions without the need to attend meetings in person. Members of the public attending or speaking at a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Stratford Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of the meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. So if we can all be upstanding for the opening prayer. We pray that our deliberations today will be objective and decisions are impartial, made for the benefit of the whole community. And recognition of traditional custodians. Let us begin by acknowledging the Wangal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting is being held. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Apologies? No apologies? No. Okay, we'll move on to open forum. We have three speakers today for open forum. And our first speaker is Ms. Mariana Emanuel. And I'll just ask you, Mr. Emanuel, if you can just come to the end of the table here and just state your name, your address, and we have 5 minutes per speaker.
Already?
Yes.
Oh,
so,
okay.
We'll just have the timer there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take the chair away? Okay, yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I've got basically 3 points. The first point I'll start off with is the Cooks River Walk. I went on the Cooks River Walk on Sunday and I found that I had issues with the bikes. I didn't have a peaceful walk along the Cooks River. Is there a possibility of actually making a pedestrian sort of walkway without having to... My husband kept telling me to go to the inside so that I wouldn't be, in case I didn't see a bike, because they don't come in single file. They actually come as a pack sometimes. And as, you know, what I've noticed is that it would be better and it would be a more peaceful walk for me, an enjoyable walk if we could actually have. That's number 1 point. Number 2 point is with regard to the council's software. It does not actually include everyone. I've got a property that has 5 people's names on it. 2 of them are included, 3 are called as others. This has been going on for 2 years. It has been done by banks and all that. To be called others is an issue for me and for everyone else. My third point is, I am sorry if I'm stepping on anyone's toes. Is the general manager here?
Yes.
Okay. I was expecting a call from you for a few months, but apparently I sent in an email quite a few in June, but apparently you were not the general manager at that point in time. It was someone else.
Yeah, we had an acting general manager. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. So I never received a call back. I even went into the council chambers. Elsie at the reception actually contacted 2 secretaries to leave messages for the general manager to contact me back. I never got a call back. The reason why I was after the general manager is with regard to, I live on 36 Manor Road. The DA was approved for 38 Manor Road. What I wanted was a tagged survey report to prove that they were building on their land. What I got was a field survey report, which is different to a tag survey report, so I could identify where it was being built, okay? So my concerns were that. Secondly, my concern was that the stormwater drain on my side was damaged, so it clearly indicated that they had actually moved and were working on my side of the thing. They had to demolish a wall which caused the destruction of my fence as well at the same time, which they did not put back, but they put back a metal fence, you know, the construction fence. That's all I wanted to contact you, because if it was your property, you would also have got concerns as to people coming onto your property to demolish a wall, to remove the fence, not put it back properly, you see? So those are my concerns, and it would have been nice. I know I was advised, I'm running out of time, that you would be giving it to your public officers to deal with. That's what David advised me, but it would be nice to get a call back of some sort.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Emmanuel.
Don't be sorry, it's your council.
And we'll get on. No, thank you. Okay. Our second speaker is Mr. Assad Boutros. If Mr. Assad, could just approach and state your address.
Anthony Boutros, 87 Madeline Street, Belfield. Main issue I've got is, Nella's seen, I've actually had the pleasure of coming out to have a look at it, is we've got flooding issues in Begnell Park. So all the houses that are lined up against Madeline Street against Begnell Park, I think it used to be once a creek behind our fences, fills up with water, and number 91 in particular, who's my neighbour, who's 70 years old, has had flooding in his house twice in the last 6 months. Now I know you keep saying it's a 1 in 100 year flood storm that we've had, but he's been flooded several times over the past few years. And it's a very simple problem to fix. It doesn't need millions of dollars. It just basically needs a machine with a hook, just a hook a line, just to allow the water to flow into the canal. The canal is only 100 metres away. Very easy to fix. We don't want you to put anything special, just to let that water flow naturally into the canal. And what's happening too is it's causing, I think, problems with flies. Because the grass doesn't, I think since COVID, they don't cut the grass in the park as often as they used to. So what happens is the grass gets to about knee height. They cut it probably every 3 or 4 months, I'd say, and the flies breeding them. Now, I've had someone from the environmental department come and look at it, but I know it for a fact, because I can see the flies moving around in the long grass. And funny enough, the rangers have no issues coming to number 91, the guy who keeps getting flooded, and saying it's your birds. If it was his birds, why would we have flies over in Water Street, Cosgrove Road, Robinson Street, and all the other streets? So I know for 100% it's because the grass doesn't get cut as usual, and also it's too much moisture in the ground. Now, I know we've had so much rain, but if we can just help the flow of that water, I think that would solve probably 60-70% of the problem.
Okay.
So that's pretty much my main concern. He's 70 years old, he can't do this.
Yeah. Okay.
He's had to change his washing machine twice, and I showed David earlier, who was kind enough to let me come to this meeting, because I missed the time frame anyway, how flooded his backyard got. Okay. So and what's happening too, we're all building new homes, new people coming into the street building new homes, and we have to raise our land according to our DAs. But anyone who's living on an older home, their homes are quite low. So he wouldn't be the only person flooding, there'd probably be other people who haven't spoken up, but he gets considerable flooding. I mean, we're talking to his knees in his laundry. He can't afford to keep fixing it. And he's had water, he's had mould and dampness under his house. We've had to put fans underneath it to dry it for him. So please, if we can fix that issue. It will not cost you millions of dollars. It honestly costs you probably a machine for a day.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Just on that, just if I can, quick response. We do have an item later in the business papers, which is about the upgrade to the drainage, and there's about $6.3 million upgrade to Begnell Oval, which hopefully include those things. But I do know our new director, Kathy Edward Davis, is actually going. I think someone from her team is going to be out on site there next week. So I think if we can get...
I'm happy to meet you. I mean, I've lived in that block for nearly 15 years now. I know it inside out. And Kenny's been there for 70 years. He'd be one of the oldest residents in Belfield who was born there. So it'd just be nice
Yeah.
just to, like I said, rangers have no issues coming to his house and saying your bird's this, your bird's that, but it's nothing to do with his birds, it's to do with the water.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can get Mr. Boutros'
We'll
details.
just get your details
And
before
when-
you leave,
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
and then we'll
And
organise the time.
No worries.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
No
you very
problem.
much.
Thanks.
Easy fixed.
Thank you.
Okay, the third speaker is Mrs. Theresa Lestrange. Mrs. Lestrange, familiar territory for you?
Thank you. Teresa Strange, 2 Francis Street. First of all, I'd like to make a comment on what the First Lady, whose name I didn't catch, actually spoke about, was the Cooks River Walk. As a child growing up in England, the rule was, in country areas where roads had no footpaths, that you faced the oncoming traffic. So you walked on the right-hand side of any road. And this has been very much the pattern in the UK, that in walking on areas which are shared or anything of this sort, you walked on the right-hand side so that oncoming traffic could see you and get round you, and traffic coming up from behind had the left side of the road clear to go through. And the same would apply on a footpath. But if I walk on the right-hand side of the footpath through Airy Park, I have cyclists abusing me for being in the way. And I think it's possible that this rule could be quite well adopted within shared walking and cycling areas. And as these are going to increase rather than decrease, I offer it as a suggestion. It wasn't what I came to speak about. It was with a fair amount of surprise that I read of the unveiling of a statue to an Indian Prime Minister at Strathfield West Community Centre. I was unaware of any community consultation with regard to this. It's some years since Council was approached to erect a statue to the Korean comfort women, but it was clear that a council ordinance required memorials and statues erected on council land or in council buildings to be representative of Australians or Australian events. And when you think about it, if you're given the multinational representation within Australia, to have an audience of this nature makes sense. We represent not our original countries, but Australia, and our memorials should be to Australian people. I can calculate at least 12 different nationalities in my immediate neighbours. It becomes very difficult if everyone wishes to erect memorials on public land to their own people. They are perhaps better represented in embassies or in cultural centres owned and run by that given community. I'd like to suggest that A, we should have community consultation with anything of this sort, and my apologies if it's something which I have missed, as I did have occasion to go to England for the last 2 months. But community consultation and awareness of that original ordinance, and perhaps it could be located and reinforced, as I think it would be quite valuable to the community. There are other places for individual national presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lestrange, and good to have you back. Okay, a declaration of pecuniary interest, councillors and stuff? None? Okay, confirmation of the minutes, 4th October, moved by Councillor Pensavini, seconded Councillor Reddy. Councillors, any debate? I'll put it to you. Unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to acknowledgements. Yep, I have a couple. So just, we want to make an acknowledgement just to the victims of the South Korean Halloween tragedy. At least 151 innocent people perished in a horrific incident as part of Halloween celebrations in Seoul. And on behalf of Stratford councillors, our staff, our residents, we wish to extend our deepest sympathies to the families, our Korean community in Stratford, and also our sister city in Gapyeong. Yeah, this was pretty devastating, hearing this incident, and you couldn't imagine something like this would happen in our, in Australia. So it's really hard to fathom how something like this could happen. Yeah, being actually, having been there recently, it does actually, and obviously our council's long-standing relationship with the Korean community and such a high population of Korean people in our community, it's really distressing that these people, mainly young people, out celebrating, have perished in this way. So yeah, we just want to extend our condolences to these families.
Thank you.
The next one is just it's acknowledgement for Vani Devi, who is the daughter of P.R. Narasimha Rao, the 9th Prime Minister of India, who came to the unveiling of the statue. And I wish to extend our gratitude to Mrs. Vani Devi for the donation of 5 books here to the Stratford Council Library and Innovation Hub. And some of these books are translated in Telugu, and they'll be a great addition to our existing Telugu collection already in the library. The last one is from the principal of Sirak High School in Gapyeong, and wish to extend the thanks for the donated a book of poems and signed it, written in Korean, and it's by school students in Korea, and it's donated to our library as well. So wish to those ones, and there's one more, which I just want to acknowledge the Mr. Tony Reid. So Mr. Tony Reid, for anyone here who doesn't know, came on board in an acting role and pulled up his sleeves pretty much out of retirement. And we had some big challenges at council, and Tony, not just to me but to the councillors, our GM and the staff, I have seen Tony as a figure of stability and common sense, and has actually helped Stratford to set a really, really solid foundation for our new direction. And this is his last council meeting, so I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've closed off a lot of things that were hanging around.
Don't lag off now. Still got some work to do.
So thanks, Tony. That's so fun.
Okay, so I wish to acknowledge 2 acknowledgements tonight. The first is that I wish to acknowledge the federal government's initiative in the federal government last Tuesday evening. Local governments have been signed up to a landmark housing accord between the Commonwealth, state and territory governments, investors and the residential development, building and construction sector that will deliver up to 1 million affordable housing homes for Australians in need. Our President for Australian Local Government, Landed, also is our representative, and she recognises 537 councils with the key role of local government playing a facilitating role in housing. So Linda Scott, who is our President, has worked very hard to include local council in the federal government's negotiations on social housing. Also, in response to the ALGA's advocacy, that's the Australian Local Government Association, the federal budget also included $250 million expansion on the local roads and community infrastructure program through 25-26. I think you all realise how much we need the money to build our roads and to make our roads and potholes eliminated during the past 12 months of rain, and we've had a very bad deterioration of our roads, and all the money that we need to help with that, which is a great initiative from our federal representative. And also $100 million in financial assistance grants to councils in this year's budget, bringing the total for 2022 to 2023 to $2.9 million to go back into local government funds. So it's the first time in several years that the federal government has recognised local government as a level of government that's working hard for our local community, and we're receiving those funds, and we're very grateful. I was with the Treasurer this morning and I thanked him personally. My second acknowledgement tonight goes to the Secretary of the Strathfield Historical Society, Ms. Kathy Jones, who's in the chamber this evening, on receiving the Certificate of Achievement Award from the Royal Australian Affiliated Social Societies Committee. Kathy received her award for the absolute dedication and care for everything historical in Strathfield, including being the Secretary for the Historical Society for many years, and her wealth and knowledge about Strathfield's history is totally outstanding. If you want to know anything about Strathfield's history, Kathy Jones is the person that we go to, and she can tell you in no certain terms. Congratulations, Kathy. We know how much you do for our Strathfield area, and kudos to you that the Australian Affiliated Society has recognised your work also. And with your permission, Kathy, we'd like to notify our newsletter and our social media in news to recognise your work. But we'll talk about that off camera. But thank you, Kathy. We do really appreciate the work that you do. Thank you so much. And it's a great award.
Okay. Any further acknowledgements, councillors? No further acknowledgements. Move on to deferred outstanding matters, nil. Okay, and then I move in accordance with section 13. Take one and pass it on, councillor. Including Council's Code of Meeting Practice. That 1, Council alters the order of business paper in accordance with clause 8.1, and 2, that items listed below be dealt with by exception and they be adopted as recommended by way of a single motion. Seconded by Councillor Pensabini. So we have 10.1, which is page 33, councillors. That's mayoral minute for extension of trading hours for Hudson Park. Okay, 10.2. Take it out. 10.2 is out. 13.1, that's the traffic committee minutes. 14.1. Okay, then we'll move on to 14.2, councillors. Hudson Park Driving Range, Councillor Chai. 14.3. Okay, well, that one's out, so we'll move on to 14.6.
For that.
14.6.
Yeah.
Public open space, home request, page 57.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, 14.5 is also out.
Pardon? Yeah, so 14.3, 14.4, 14.5 are out. 14.6.
Are in.
That's
In the group.
Yep, no issues.
No.
Okay. GMU 1, you may have reserved deed of agreement.
Take out
Okay. GMU 2, page 69, policy review. That's the 7, I believe there's 7 policies there, and I know it's under one little recommendation, Kathy, but again, thank you for your hard work with these policies, and it's great to see us putting some policies back in place at Strathfield.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, can we take GMU 2 out? It's a minor amendment for
GMU 2, yeah.
Take out GMU 3.
So we're against that, councillor, or?
Say that
No, I
again.
just want to check, double check a couple of things. And maybe include a couple of things.
Check that up, yep.
GMU 3.
GMU3, no worries. GMU4, page 140. GMU5, annual report 2021-22, page 142.
Can I just say something about that?
Again,
Again,
another congratulations.
another thank you to Kathy Jones that's worked it's been a very, very difficult year, and to get an annual report done with the change of staff and the difficulties that we've had is absolutely brilliant, Ms Jones, and we really do appreciate all the work that you've done in the long hours and weekends. I know you get embarrassed, but truly, you really do put the work in, and I think you need to be acknowledged. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. CCS1, investment report 246.
And the great report, by the way. Yeah, I read it. Yeah. Yeah, I read it.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing now?
We're at CCS2,
Yep.
the councillor workshop, page 267.
Okay.
CCS3, page 268, councillors, current status of council resolutions. CCS4, councillor workshop, 19th October, 283, page. CCS6, tenders advertised and awarded, page 293. CCS7, New South Wales Local Government Election 2024.
Oh, sorry,
No.
go back. Sorry.
Which one, Councillor?
CCS5 is now.
That's out already.
About.
Oh,
It's not on the list. So CCS7's all right, councillors. CCS8, council arrangements over Christmas and New Year
Oh,
period.
7 and 8 are out, please.
7 as well.
Yep.
7,
Yeah.
local government election.
Yep, Shirley and I are on the same page on this one.
Maybe for different reasons.
Maybe for different reasons.
All right, 8 is in.
No
No,
doubt.
out,
No, I
out.
mean out.
Yeah.
7 is out.
CCS9, councillor workshop, page 297.
That's in.
That's just noting your report, right?
That's just the workshop,
Workshop report.
what happened at the workshop.
Yep.
Yep. PE1, Sydney Eastern Planning Panel members, so that's the page 209, that's been resubmitted from last time we got more information.
Yeah, can we have P1 out, please?
EO1, Homebush West Traffic Study, page 303. EO2, 26 to 28 Pomeroy Street, 306. EO3, Australian Culture and Commerce Association licence for the office at Bates Street, page 309.
Yep, could we have that out, please?
EO3.
E3.
EO4, Community Garden, Stratford South, page 311.
Is that rain or is that wind?
EO5, Disabled Access to Bar Cuts Reserve and Local Government Area Parks Report, page 312. And EO6, shade covers over playgrounds, 315.
Oh, good.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so I'll put it to you, councillors.
All in favour?
Yep, okay, so they will pass both sections. Okay, so we'll move on to 10.2. That's mayoral minutes, building work approved hours of construction. Page 34, councillor. Seconded by councillor Pensabini. Second, mayoral minutes. Mayoral second. Okay. So this is basically, I move it as written. This is basically coming into council's construction hours and types of work coming into line with the CDC, which the CDC is Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And what it also does is allow for the additional day for anything that does not make noise, such as painting or anything of that sort of works, where it is not heavy works, it is not concreting, it is not jackhammering, etc. So basically, there's been a lot of people approached, they're having trouble finding tradespeople in the area. There's also the amount of rain that we've had this year. There are people who are struggling to build their homes, the costs are blowing out, and I think we have a obligation. It is 2022. I think we need to move forward with where everyone else is heading on this. There's builders who, they can't get someone to work on a Saturday to finish these people's houses because people don't want to work for 5 hours on only. The other point of it is about the allowing access to site office or lunchroom from half an hour prior to the starting hours. So what this is for is to actually try to eliminate those complaints that we get from neighbours, where there's the workmen or women loitering outside of the property and joking and making loud noises, which interferes with the neighbours. So if they can actually go into their lunchroom or their site office, it eliminates that noise in our streets. So, any debate, councillors?
Not the motion.
I do. I've actually had complaints to the opposite, that neighbours are actually disturbed by the construction 6 days a week, 7 to 5. If anybody has lived next door to somebody that's constructing, it's really great. It's a good thing to build your home, and it's lovely, and more power to you. I couldn't possibly even think about doing that because I think it's a nightmare, but more power to you. But if you're living next door, it's very, very loud to have this 7 in the morning, 6 days a week, which is fine. I understand that it is standard at the moment. What I do want to know...
If I can make a point, sorry, councillor, but it already is 7 o'clock.
It's 7 to 2 or 7 to 3 at the moment?
No, it's 7 to 5, except for Saturday.
Yes.
Which finishes lunchtime.
That's what, yeah. So I'd actually like to change that to 7 to 3, not 7 to 5. And my other issue is, I actually had somebody, and I think I forwarded on to the general manager, complain that they would do it, but they had permission in their DA to work 7 days a week. So construction 7 days a week. And I don't know whether this was a special thing, but apparently it came across that because of COVID, council has given special arrangements to people to work, to do actual construction 7 days. So what I wanted to check to the general manager, to Candice, do we need...
Through me to the director, yes?
Do we need to, not to the general manager? I thought we always did to the general manager. Okay, so is that something that we have as standard, and how many, do you know, or you can take it on notice, I guess, how many construction sites actually have 7 days a week at the moment as construction?
This is our Acting Director of Planning, Candice Lee.
Through the Chair, I would have to take that on notice, councillor. I understand that during the COVID period there was extended construction hours, but I'm unaware of 7 days a week, so I would have to take that on notice.
So I'm not accepting the amendment. Any further debate, councillors?
Yes. The 7 days a week from 7 to 5, where they can, where people can basically go in there and do some painting and flooring. If you're using a floor sander, I'm not sure that that's going to be, I don't think that's not, has no noise. Again, I've had the opposite complaint to what the mayor has had. I've actually had complaints from residents living next door to construction,
Look,
and they've had
yeah. I think, councillor, we all get some of those complaints, but I think if people could actually build their properties quicker and get the site done and dusted, it actually interferes with our neighbours less as well.
Yeah, 7 days a week, 7 to 5. And
It's not, councillor.
so what I would like to see, what I'd like to know is, this policy, this is going to become a policy, so can we have it into a policy so that there is actually some clarification? I mean, flooring installation, et cetera, is not a policy.
So what this is doing, councillor, is allowing the experts, or our planners, to make a condition of consent and giving authority to our planners.
For et cetera, so what's the et cetera? So I'd like to see a policy around this rather than just, a mayoral minute, fly-by mayoral minute. I'd like to see this come to an actual workshop and have an actual policy. I get the hours of construction, I don't mind doing
Put an
that.
additional point that this come to a councillor workshop.
Excellent, there you go, compromise.
Councillor. Okay, all those in favour, councillors?
No, do we have the extra points?
Yeah, it's coming there.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay, all those in favour, councillors? Unanimous. 14.1, notice of rescission. Councillor Pensabini, page 59.
Yes,
Yep, it's taken out. Got it.
I'll second that.
the notice of rescission was,
Yeah, page 59, that was about the tidy up of the stuff.
okay, so in the last meeting, yeah. In the last meeting,
Hold on 1 second.
oh, sorry,
I'm just going to cancel them on
Yeah,
page numbers, they're a little bit out.
are they? Sorry.
Okay, so we vote on the notice of rescission, and then we put forward so there's no debate on the notice of rescission.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we put forward that debate, and then we put forward the alternate. Yep. So,
Speak on the
we'll vote on the notice of rescission. All those in favour, councillors?
Which one?
Voting to rescind, and then we put the alternate motion forward.
I need to know why we're rescinding.
That's, I think, what is the,
I want to know why we're rescinding.
what are the major highlights?
We're not.
So I think if
It's
you
on the
read the recommendation,
Officers.
if you read your business papers, you'll see the recommendation.
It's a recommendation here, different thing, here you have got lot numbers and all of that.
That's the wrong one, councillor. It's actually on page 50, 14.1.
Oh, hang on a minute.
So the notice of rescission doesn't have debate. We vote whether we rescind it or not. There is no debate. So are we, all those in favour of,
Sorry, my page 59.
it's page 50, councillor. That's what the numbers are a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, you gotta be.
So the alternate motion follows it and it explains why we're rescinding.
Yeah. So notice of rescission, all those in favour, councillors? Okay, against? Okay, so for the motion, everyone, Councillor Barto, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Maswaran, Councillor Chai, Councillor Deputy Mayor Pensabini, the Mayor, against Councillor Hall. So I declare it passed, and we put forward the amended motion, moved by the Mayor, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Okay. Any debate on this item, councillors? 14.1, there's a change.
51 and 52.
This is actually,
This is just tidying up the,
Shangan has it.
You know, I suppose one thing I'd query, and perhaps Mr. Mayor, be through you to the General Managers,
Yes.
is the inclusion of point 6, and particularly with reference to the proposed planning proposal for the housing investigation areas for Hunter's Crest, Flemington, Liverpool Road Centre and Belfield. I just don't understand the effect of that and what it intends to do.
we'll just clear myself, Mrs. Lindenberg, I can't say that.
The purpose of that point is, council has taken a housing strategy which was presented in draft form to the Department of Planning. Department of Planning have put conditions on council to present planning proposals for particular areas of housing investigation, and as a result, strategic planning recommended for feasibility and housing that relates to that work.
I'm so sorry, could you just repeat that very last part?
So as a result of the request put to council by the Department of Planning in their assurance letter, council, if necessary, council put together planning proposals and strategic planning work, that informs those planning proposals, feasibility analysis, which that point refers to.
I have a question.
Yes, councillor Hall.
So through the chair to the acting planning director. So why so the first motion, I understand, was drafted by the planning department? So why wasn't what?
The first one was actually drafted on the fly, kind of by councillors. This one is actually our planning department has worked closely with us to put together the appropriate recommendation, tidy things up after our meeting with Anthony Roberts, myself and the General Manager.
Oh, right, so information that we don't know about. So no wonder I'm voting against it, because it's information
What information, Councillor Hall?
So maybe we should, maybe if we had all the information, then we'd know what the difference is. And in actual fact, the new motion doesn't explain why we're rescinding the other one. All it shows is that there's a difference. That's all it shows, but it doesn't show why. Now, Councillor Maritoy, I do this. I call him on the phone and it's fine. I did this at Rotary as well. So, I mean, we just had an explanation. And okay, I get that. But what I don't understand is why we are thinking that and then having these different changes. But we don't know. Yes, I can see where the changes are. I can see that they're different, the points are different, and I can see that there is difference. But no one's explained to me why. And I've just had one explanation, which is what my learned friend and I had discussed, and now I have an explanation, which is great, but I don't have an explanation for the other ones that have been changed. So can I please have an explanation, and if you had a meeting with Minister Roberts, then great. What happened at that meeting? Should we have not had a briefing?
I think, Councillor, if you, there is a bit of information there, but I think also,
where's the
you know, I know you Zoom into or Teams into the workshops quite often, but there has been discussions about the stuff to do with that. So I don't know if you may have missed it through the technology, but we have had discussions about this.
So I'm just wondering, I understand that Belfield was discussed earlier. I've had some people sort of question about Belfield, which I suppose is...
Well, the original recommendation was based on the letter from planning.
Did they have...
which mentioned Belfield and mentioned those other...
So okay, so we've had the briefing. So at the workshop we had a briefing of what happened
I think we've had,
with Minister Roberts?
Oh, there's a general update.
On your visit?
Yes. On
your visit. Okay. Well, that's what happens when you have to wait some time. Okay, so who wrote this motion? It's the
Bill
three.
Turner,
Yes.
Planning Department.
Okay.
Any further debate, councillors?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
on the same point though, I just wonder why we've changed it from, and I apologise if I'm missing something, it's just something that I've seen on rereading it, but the original motion calls for studies within those designated precincts. So they're the same precincts, but why this has been reformulated to say that we will continue with the proposed planning proposals for the HIA areas. It just strikes me that at least the phraseology here splits these particular areas into a separate planning proposal rather than being dealt with as a whole in the LEP, which is, as I understand, was our original intention.
If I can just, through myself, through the...
I have that same
Acting
question.
Director.
The reference to individual planning proposals is a reference drawn from the Department of Planning's assurance letter relating to the local housing strategy that calls for those housing investigation areas to come in as independent planning proposals.
Thank you.
And, sorry, was that a direction from the department?
Through the chair, via the letter of assurance from the Department of Planning, yes.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, when
Yes.
you say that letter of assurance, are we referring to the response to the draft strategy, or is there a separate letter?
It relates to the local housing strategy draft.
And so the department issued a letter in response to that. I think that's available online.
That's correct.
That's the letter we're referring to.
That's correct.
Does that cover?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose a minor amendment to this. And that would be at point 6.
Point 6, yep.
And I would propose to strike the words continues with the proposed planning proposal and replace it with sorry, I'm just looking for the relevant so to strike those words and it'd be replaced with continues with the studies in accordance with within the housing investigation areas for Homebush West Health Centre. So we continue on. And then that second sentence which says further presentation of the council workshops based on feasibilities, it would say proposals, a report for any planning proposal is to be presented, and then to continue on to council workshops based on feasibility and economic analysis of these areas.
I like it. That clears up some of my
Is that,
queries.
that's okay? Yeah? Yeah. We're happy with that amendment, yeah? Anything further, Councillor Marcelo? No. Any further debate, councillors?
No, I'm just voting.
Okay, I'll put to you, councillors. All those in favour?
Good meeting, staff meeting.
There you go, unanimous.
They were my questions.
Move on to 14.3, street bin installation, councillor Chai. It's on page 53, seconded by councillor Pensavini. Councillor Chai, you have the floor.
I think I'd like to amend it, here, the street bin installation, on the north part of the crescent between the Flemington Station and the Hornsey River. The northern part.
Say that again, sorry, councillor?
So, one more street is along the northern side,
Northern
the northern
side.
northern curb side
Yes.
of, yeah.
of the crescent,
Yeah, of the crescent.
between Flemington Station and Hornsey Road, correct?
I think it's formed, right? It's somewhere.
I think, yeah, if you're talking about you're talking about where the
Yeah.
roundabout is.
Close to the bridge.
Yeah, that's Eastbourne Road,
Yeah, Eastbourne Road.
Councillor
not
Shah?
the,
The northern curb side, so maybe the northern curb side opposite Eastbourne Road?
Eastbourne Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think instead of Hornsey Road, which is further closer, take it to close to Eastbourne Road.
Yeah.
Road on the Crescent, yes?
On the
Or
crescent.
change it to on instead of off?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is that how you'd like it to read, Councillor Chai?
Yeah.
Councillor?
Sorry?
Is that how you'd like it to read?
Yeah.
Report to council on the cost of purchasing and installing one or more street bins along the northern curb side opposite Eastbourne Road on the Crescent between Flemington Station and Hornsey Road.
Eastbourne Road.
Yeah, okay, so take off Hornsey Road.
Yeah.
And Eastbourne.
And Flemington, they've got Eastbourne. No, they do.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
just take out, yes.
Yeah, take off between Flemington
Yes,
Station.
Just
take the
take off
take
between Flemington Station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, okay. Happy with that, councillor Pennsylvania, you seconded it? Are you happy with it?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes. All right. Any further debate, councillors? Yes, councillor Hall.
In September, I had a motion to install a bin along, the Hume Highway, where high school children were having, food after school and then throwing it. I actually took some photos, of the rubbish that was there last Saturday, and it was huge. There was so much rubbish, that it needs a bin. So for some reason, councillor, Data and councillor Maheswaran and myself voted for the installation of the bin for my motion, and all the rest voted against it. We now have a motion today to install a street bin in a different area, but a street bin. So what I'd like to do is add a street bin exactly to my motion was in September, in the first week in September, to install a street bin at Homebush Road, not Homebush Road.
It is a report, councillor.
Yes, we can have a report, thank you, that'd be lovely.
So what's your amendment?
So, council person installed a one-on-one and along Hume Highway, South Strathfield, near, on the corner of Cosgrove. Cosgrove Road, at the bus stop.
Hume Highway.
Did I say Liverpool Road?
Hume Highway,
Hume Highway.
South Stratfield on the corner of Cosgrove Road at the
And at the bus stop.
Is that how you'd like it to read, councillor?
One or more, just a report, one or more street bins along the northern. And that, and maybe put, and that the report also includes the installation of a bin along Hume Highway. So just include, so after the crescent, so after the crescent, add, and for the report to also include the installation of a bin along the Hume Highway, South Strathfield, on the corner of Cosgrove Road at the bus stop. Cool. Thank you.
Councillor Char, are you happy with that amendment?
Yeah, I'm okay. Accept it.
Councillor Pennsylvania, you seconded it?
No, well, the problem with this motion is that the area that we're talking about near the Crescent and Eastbourne Road, we have residents walking there every day to the station. It becomes an absolute mess, and it's easy for council to come and pick that up and to move the rubbish bin. It's going to be very difficult for council trucks to stop on Liverpool Road to collect the bin. This is my only problem. So maybe we,
Maybe they can just do a report and let us know.
I'm really
I'm
do
going to
think
send
we
you the
should-
photos of how bad it is. Actually, I'm going to drive you there, councillor.
Councillor Hall, I drive along that road every day,
Have
and
you?
it's not just the school children. You have rubbish out of people's cars. It's a main highway in Strathfield, and it's very difficult to keep it clean. And people throwing out rubbish out of their cars is not going to get the bin.
Well,
It's not-
perhaps it's something that you can put in a report and council's experts can turn their mind to. They might put a target there and bounce of the garbage.
Yeah, or a basketball.
Or a basketball net. Basketball net into...
And the issue is not,
And you could get a prize.
the issue,
3 in a row.
the issue is not people throwing rubbish out of windows. The issue is people stopping at the bus stop to eat and not having anywhere to put their rubbish. That's what the
Okay,
issue.
councillor Pennsylvania has indicated that she's not accepting that amendment, and she is the seconder.
Let's foreshadow. I'll foreshadow.
Foreshadowed?
Yep. It's just a report.
Yeah. Okay, is there any further debate, councillors? I'll put that motion. If this motion goes
received, the foreshadowed is lost. So I'll put it to you, so for a report to council on the cost of purchasing installing one or more street beams on the northern curbside opposite Eastbourne Road on the Queensland. All those in favour, councillors? Councillor Reddy, Councillor Moswarren, Councillor Chai, Councillor Pinsabini, Councillor Blackmore. Against? Councillor Hall, Councillor Darko. Against? Declare the motion carried, the foreshadowed motion lost. So I'll move on to 14.4, notice of motion submitted by Councillor Moswarren, report on council casual staff and temporary staff, contractors and consultant arrangements. It's actually on page 55, councillors, 14.4. Councillor Moswarren, you have the floor. Do I have a second for the motion? Oh, Councillor Pinsabini. Thank you.
This is a Labor thing.
Not necessarily.
I was told.
It goes to issues of fairness,
Absolutely.
which affect us all.
That's what we're all about,
I'm
councillor.
gonna let Raj show those
Fairness.
on Facebook.
I just start by saying that I'm going to go through this, point by point, but if it's not useful for the other councillors, I don't mind being told so. But
I think we've all read the minutes, the motion.
yeah, okay. So overarchingly, what we intend to do is to deal with, again, about a quarter of council staff appear to be employed as casuals, and we would like to understand how many people have been consistently employed on casual contracts, because it is not just abnormal, but it's deeply unfair to have people consistently employed as casuals when they ought to have the security of permanent part-time contracts. With respect to temporary contracts, we would hope that no one has been employed on a long-term basis on a temporary contract, but again, we'd like to identify where people have, if that's occurred, and if so, that's something that council ought to deal with. And finally, in respect of the provision of services, as I've noted in the rationale, I think it is the expectation that where council does procure labour and supplies, where it does procure and employs people, it shouldn't indirectly do so via contracted services, and those should only be done in circumstances where there's substantial savings to council. And so again, we are attempting to identify in circumstances where from year to year the same service is being procured, and while we won't do anything immediately about that, it's useful for councillors to have that sort of information. There is a resolution in respect of what we think should go into the procurement and contract management policy, and that speaks to, again, affirming that principle that where possible and where it is preferable for work to be undertaken by the permanent staff of the council, and that is because you provide long-term security and employment for those people and retain institutional knowledge. In respect of contractors and consultants for services, that is something that's always going to exist, and there's significant advantages in doing so. But where it's something that can economically be done in the long term by permanent staff of council, then that is something that it ought to do. And finally, we point to being able to deal with other councils and to contract our services in conjunction with them. Finally, or 2 points. One is that if council is doing an excellent job in these respects, then that's something that should be published, and that information ought to be published on a routine basis. And finally, as we expect, for example, from any developer or construction company, that council should be looking to its supply chain and ensuring that it has some policy. We're not saying that it doesn't, but that council's been informed of whatever policies are in place to ensure that contractors and consultants that fall within that supply chain are adhering to relevant federal and state laws regarding employment standards. So that's the motion, and I hope you vote for it.
Okay, any further debate on this, councillors? No further debate. Okay. No further debate. Do you need to close, Councillor Mosman?
Thank you very much.
Very good. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour, councillors? Councillor Datta, Councillor Manaswaran, Councillor Chai, Councillor Hall, Councillor Kentavini, all those against? The Mayor, Councillor Blackmore and Councillor Reddy.
Mayor and Councillor Blackmore.
Councillor Reddy, yeah.
There's only two, but he's made it sound like three.
So I declare it carried, councillors. We'll move on to 14.5, dedication of land at Mandurah Avenue.
I need a second.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Pennsylvania. Councillor Manaswaran, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor, I should start by saying that I want to apologise to the other councillors. I drafted this in some haste and it didn't reflect what I was trying to do. So I will just foreshadow the amendment that I put, which is after the words update on, what it should say really is options to remediate or compel the remediation and make use of the land. And the reason being is that at the last councillor update and the last information surrounding the site is that the Environmental Protection Authority has handed this site to Stratford Council effectively to manage. They essentially think that Stratford Council will deal with it.
Just a point of order, Councillor Manaswaran, if I could just get a comment from, through myself to the, Mr Tony Reid.
The land is still, not under the control of the council. And the report we received was from the EPA, which is a mandatory report on the quality of the site. As it's a contaminated site which has been capped, there is testing rods in sections of the park land, that would be parkland if it was safe. And the latest report from the EPA was that it was above safe levels. On that basis, the recommendation was that we do not continue with the undertaking of risk by council if it does accept the offer of land. So until the land is being recorded as a safe discharge of fuming out of the base, strongly recommend that you don't even consider the risk of taking on a piece of land that it was and still is in private ownership.
So speaking to that, I mean the last, in terms of the EPA's position, this is what they've published, is that the ongoing monitoring will be dealt with by Stratford Council. And so when I say it's been handed over, perhaps it's a misstatement. It hasn't been handed to the council in any physical way or by transfer of ownership,
No.
but rather the EPA has repealed its investigation order, and that's, in essence, the monitoring is ongoing and supervised by Stratford Council, it's my understanding. But putting that to one side, I think the statement, council should not consider dealing with this site, is not something that I would agree with, for two reasons. One is it's a significant amount of public land, and two, it's a significant amount of land that could be turned to public purposes. It's considerable. But two, in essence, its current state of remediation has it leaching toxic chemicals into the surrounding groundwater. And so if we're happy to say, well, there's formaldehyde from this site, the EPA sort of says it's a acceptable level, so, we're not going to worry about it too much, and we're going to leave it there. We've got major residential development around it. My response to that would be that council should at least be looking at the options around this site, considering that the entire roads precinct has been built on land that's contaminated with Agent Orange, similar to this site. Then there are potentially options that we can consider, and that might be the entire residential redevelopment of that site. If that would involve the remediation of the land to a standard and could afford the remediation of the land to a standard, which would result in what I think at least is still an unacceptable risk to public health for the surrounding residents. So I respectfully understand the position, but I think that it is something that council needs to more broadly consider in terms of what the options are to fully remediate the site and turn it to some form of use, rather than to leave it as is. So.
Any further debate? on this, councillor?
That's a good question. Through the chair. I'm just trying to, I'd like to vote for this, and I'm just not sure, I'd like to support the motion, but, can you just clear up for me this is contaminated land, and no one should be playing on it, and nobody should be walking on it. It's carcinogenic, the stuff that's in there, it's pretty bad. So, can you explain to me what it is that you would like, are you suggesting that council, would you like an update, or information on how council can, uncontaminate it and get it ready for public use? Or what is it what you're looking for?
In short, it would be, yes, exactly that, which is to look at
Remediation.
all options for remediation of the land, right? And while I appreciate that, look, the EPA said don't touch it, there are options out there, right? And even in respect of what they say is acceptable risk to the public, right? Fundamentally, the EPA has said that is something for Stratton Council to assess now, because the EPA's assessment guideline and under the Contaminated Lands Management Act is no longer triggered. So yes, it's the latter.
Mr. Chair,
Just step through
basically, what you're saying in the recommendation is the council, although it does not own the land, would spend citizens' money in investigating what options are available to remediate the land further so that the land becomes safe. And the consequences would be then, following on, the council would then pay significant amounts of money in restoration of land, even though the land doesn't belong to the council. So the report will cost money to tell you how to fix the land, and then you can talk to the owner. But at this point in time, the land had been reinstated in accordance with the EPA's requirements. The reason the council receives the data is because they are incorporated in the information coming from the monitoring of the sites within the local government area. It's a big leap in faith to go down the path that you're recommending, council.
Through the chair, if I can.
Yes, councillor Zaza.
I think this was discussed about 3-4 months ago.
Even less.
Yeah, less than that. And I think from memory, at that time, I raised this point as well, and I understood that there are significant amount of competition, and I was quoting him, but that nobody should even walk on this land or touch the land, and the land doesn't belong to us. And I feel that if that is the same point, I cannot see why council would be spending, because I was very, very interested to make this land available for the citizens in the area for public space. But that's the response I remember, that it was not our land and it cannot be touched. If we touch it, it will make the contamination much more worse. And if that is still the condition, then I cannot see. I am still looking for reasons why council should be spending money on this. Yes.
Yes, councillor, really.
Yes, through the chair to Mr. Reeves. If we had the land given to us by the Ford company and it was suggested to us that we can actually maintain the land, it's given to us and it'll be Strathfield land, what approximately the remediation of that land, is it possible to be remediated or is it impossible? Even if it was our land. Because I know the people down there, they don't have any green space whatsoever. This land, they're looking on it and they're thinking, they could have a park, and we've told them that it's too contaminated to be remediated as a park. But if we were actually given the land, is there any chance of it being remediated? And would it be a lot of money?
The answer is no. I cannot advise you on the extent of contamination or the practical way that you could actually undertake further restoration of that land holding. The Ford company did undertake works to remediate the land. That's why the monitors are in the ground. And that remediation obviously did not work as effectively as anticipated. The other issue, of course, is that we have had extended periods of rainfall over the last 2 years, and that has had an impact, I would think, on the capping that was placed there.
All right,
And
so
that's,
you think it's washed
that's why
away?
the fuming has got worse in recent times. So, I mean, one opportunity may be to negotiation forward to the landholder to investigate further remediation so that it can progress. But again, I doubt whether he'd be a positive response to that question.
Just to withdraw it. Withdraw for now.
I'll withdraw.
I'm happy to put the motion.
I just guess when I have a question just through the chair, through myself as the general manager, the motion states, and I know our government team, you know, they look at it whether it's legal or whatever, but it says forming part of the Centenary Park estate and forming part of the Ford Motor Plan. That piece of land is not part of the Centenary Park estate, and that piece of land, yeah, it was formerly part of the Ford Motor Plan, but it is also still owned by Ford Australia. So I just think if I can get some advice from yourself or from governance about tidying up that wording, because I believe that that is incorrect.
Governor?
Yeah, so it's not actually part of that Centenary Park, it's that housing. It's not part of it. It's a separate parcel adjacent to that.
I've never been part of the Centenary Parkland.
Yeah.
Straight.
Withdraw. Mr. Mayor,
Just
I'd like to
withdraw it,
Would you like to
and
withdraw?
we'll work on it. We'll
Thank
work
you,
on it.
Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you
So
very much,
withdrawing
Councillor.
14.5. Okay. We'll move on to 14.7, moved by Councillor Morris-Ryan, seconded by the Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to move an amendment that council prepare a report regarding the preparation and lodgement.
Thank you.
This is 14.7.
Thank you.
Yep, 14.7. Good. The council prepare a report regarding the preparation and lodgement.
Yep.
For the Valley Planning. Yes, Councillor Morris-Ryan, I'll accept that amendment. Any further debate, councillors?
No.
So sorry.
Oh, take out the preparation.
So, no, in preparation for lodgement, is that, was that? Yeah. For a potential lodgement, leave it in preparation.
Preparation for a
In preparation
potential
for
lodgement.
a potential lodgement.
When, rather,
Yeah.
For potential lodgement with
Yeah.
the Department of Planning and Council.
Is that all right, Councillor Maswara? Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. Any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put it to you, councillors, all those in favour? Unanimous? Okay. I'll move on to GMU1, Ismay Reserve Deed of Aggrievement. Mover, councillor? Moved by Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Pennsylvania. Yep. Debate, councillors?
And again, it might be something that I've missed, because I might have missed this on the workshop. Do we have are we allowed to see a copy of the deed?
We're still working on it, Councillor.
The negotiation. They came to a workshop and,
So what are the terms of the negotiation? Like, did I miss something at the workshop? I did, okay, yeah. Very difficult when you're working full time, so,
you want to come to these workshops, councillor?
oh, yeah, okay.
If you can't come, you can always have a by-election.
Okay,
By election.
I'm not gonna say anything,
Did you want some commentary on the
Yes. You know what, this is a council meeting, I have every right to ask a question.
Yes.
So through the mayor,
Yes.
to the chair, can I please have whatever was a summary of what was discussed at the workshop. Thank you. I'm entitled to that. The people that voted for me are entitled to that information, and I'm entitled to go to work and earn an income. Because, unlike the mayor, who gets triple what we get, it's not enough.
Councillor
So
Hall.
thank you through the chair.
Councillor Hall, I have 2 jobs, councillor, plus the penalty,
Okay.
and I post fines.
So,
Through the chair, yes, we
Unnecessary.
have received the draft deed. We have received the draft deed from the Department of Transport, New South Wales. The deed incorporates a couple of issues that are an issue in terms of longevity of hold of the council, of that property under the deed. The deed offers a termination period of only 20 days, which is an issue. It also holds council responsible for contamination works within that piece of parcel of land. All those parcels of land were part of the construction of the West Connects. Some of those portions have been remediated and capped, but under the deed, the council holds responsibility for contamination if it's disturbed. That's one area that we are really concerned about progressing with the deed. They're the 2 major issues. The termination provision is only 20 odd days, and the second one is as a contamination responsibility held by council. The recommendation is that the council approve progressing a negotiation and eventually execution of the deed.
Thank you, councillor Reid. And I will note, Mr. Reid. Sorry, there's a by-election.
that's not an elevation.
There's a by-election, I got confused.
That's not an elevation.
And it is on page 62 as well, but thank you, Mr. Reid. Does that answer your question, councillor Hall?
Not quite. I was actually more thinking of, was there a copy of the draft deed provided to the workshop?
No.
Will that be provided? Is that something that can be provided, or is that too confidential?
It's inconsequential because it's
That's right.
not finalised in terms of its shape.
Great. So when it is finalised, before it's executed, are we?
Come back to council.
No, that's not what it says here. It says
It says it will be executed
authorise
once
the
it's
general
negotiated.
to finalise and execute. Okay. So that's not what it says. So it's not going to damage it. Just that was my job.
I've explained the 2 areas of concern at council officers level.
Well, what's the term of the deed?
20 days.
The
The term of the deed is as long as the deed holds, but the Transport New South Wales, one of the provisions of the deed is they can terminate the arrangement
in 20
with
days.
25 days business day.
Yeah, I get that one.
And
I get it. So the terms are ongoing, but they want to terminate, but they only want to give 20 days termination.
That's one of the clauses we've discussed.
So,
We're trying to
do we
negotiate
get do we get to see a copy of it before it goes to execution? Is that something that, I don't know, I'm just asking the question.
The reason for saying that we should execute once it's negotiated is because it is likely that the agreement will be made during the period that the council is in adjournment over the Christmas area into the new year.
Just a question to the chair. If the council is in decision at the time, could we make an out of office arrangement, where the council's approval can be taken through out of session arrangements? It's quite common in public sector. Out of session arrangements.
We can make a amendment.
We can put a note through.
It's quite common.
Yeah.
So,
Let's just go down that.
Through the chair. So certainly once we've negotiated and agreed on the final terms of the deed, we could circulate that to councillors. And by all means, council may resolve to call for that deed to come back here before it gets executed. But as Tony's pointed out, that may impact the timing of the execution, and it may also impact with the current government whether they will execute as they go into caretaker mode. So they're just some things for the council to consider. What we did present at the workshop were, I suppose, the key terms, the key heads of agreement, and we did outline the key elements of the agreement that we think we need to negotiate to achieve a better outcome for council. Subject to doing that, then I would recommend we proceed, but I'm in the hands of the council.
Can we add a note 3 that the final deed be circulated?
Okay, yeah, point
that
3,
possible?
that the final deed be circulated to all councillors prior to execution or after?
After the time.
After its execution. Okay. Are you happy with that,
Just so we
Councillor
get a copy.
Pennsylvania? Yeah, you happy with that?
Learned, unless it's in writing, it doesn't get done.
Okay. So, any further debate on that, councillors?
No.
Yeah, I'll put it to you, councillors. All those in favour? Unanimous? Okay. GMU2, policy review. Moved by Councillor Moratorium, seconded by Councillor Reddy. Any debate on these, councillors?
Yes, just wanted to make sure that, cause, when I read this,
Which page?
Page 69, Councillor Chai.
yep,
Policy review, is it?
Yeah, these are the 7 policies that came to the workshop.
No.
7 policies.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're not in GM.
Jim 2.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was out, okay, I thought that was in, sorry.
GMU2.
Is that okay? So we can vote?
Yeah, I think Councillor Moratorium mentioned he had a small amendment.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's more a question and nothing, just on the policy, which I appreciate went to the last workshop. And this is just at page 90 under the definitions, and so this is the policy, which is the lobbying policy. And then in respect of the definitions set out under 3, where it says, but does not include applicants or owners for a development application. My understanding of the original intent of that was to not include, that was intended to exclude ordinary people lodging a DA that wasn't a significant development, that is one that's valued over 5 million. Can I just ask, is that the terminology there, which is an applicants or owners for a development application, is that intended to do that, or is it intended to?
Well, actually, it's intended to reference the part which talks about over 5 million, but I can add in a clause after there to actually link it to the amount. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, effectively, because otherwise it might be read as saying, well, if you're not a lobbyist, but you are the actual applicant or the owner.
Yeah, no, it says engaged, representation third party engaged, and significant development application valued at 5 million does not include. I thought it was pretty clear that it was actually, those ones over 5 million, but we could put in brackets that, it's referenced 5 million.
If we could,
Yeah.
We'll just change
That's
that on there.
just housekeeping. So,
yeah.
Yeah, just make sure it's totally clear. No, it doesn't exclude applicants or owners from development application, it's those which are under 5 million, which is in the paragraph before.
okay, you're happy to start with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put it to you, councillors. All those in favour? Unanimous? Okay. GMU3, page 130, hopefully. Page 130, secondary funding.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Reddy. Debate, councillors?
Yep, so page 133, when it comes to Bednall Park, where it says scope to include, it doesn't include anything about, fixing the flooding issue or anything like that. So that needs to be what the mayor said when, Mr.
About
Boutross-
drainage, yeah.
about when about what Mr. Boutross said, needs to be included in here and added, please. Can we do that now, or?
Can we do that, yeah? Can we just ensure that,
So,
just to ensure,
incorporating that drainage.
yeah, just to say drainage.
Drainage issues that are, flooding issues that are, and address flooding issues.
Or just
affecting
incorporating
the-
drainage, just incorporating drainage issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
okay.
hold back now.
Yep, so, Edward Davis, you've got that, yep? No, it doesn't need to be. Oh, yeah, the note, yeah, so Kathy will make sure. And this scope is just to get the funding, councillor, and then the further plans will come back to, council so we can make sure that we get what we get done.
Just a question to the mayor.
Yes, councillor Dada.
I think, I'm talking about the area park one,
Yeah.
amenities refurbishment, pathway and oval around with landscaping and area park. From memory, I think we talked about pathway around the oval.
Yes.
Pathway around,
Around the oval.
oval around.
And,
I think it's just a bit of a wording
yeah, I
in
think
the
we
report.
should make it
The
one.
wording's coming back, this is just about the funding, everyone. The
Yeah.
wording
It says there pathway
It's
and
a fine writing.
Around the oval.
So,
It's coming back.
Mrs. Yes,
Yeah, don't think.
This is basically listing the funding. So the council will get a base case for each of the projects, that will be submitted to the funding, on the 6th of January. So the base case will actually broaden out all of the works and have a more detailed explanation.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be, but it's a pathway around the oval, that's what I'm talking about, so I would suggest that we clear it out, so there is no problem with that. Just when you do the funding, if the words are clear, the people who are preparing it would know clearly, there will be no confusion.
The word needs to change.
Yeah. Pathway around the
you
oval.
change that?
I had a motion last year,
Yeah.
halfway
Yes,
down.
okay. Now, we've got those motions.
Still passed.
Yep, they're both noted.
Around the oval.
Around there.
That's a good idea.
And that'll,
Yeah. That's what it is, that's what it is. Yeah. If I could actually just make a suggested amendment, just so to put a point 6 instead of those 2 points, that the business cases for each project be brought to the February council meeting for councillors' information. Yes.
Council information, or?
if the business case is as submitted.
Yeah.
As submitted.
Okay, so the business cases as submitted for each project.
It's just bringing the bank account to see the final form of the business case.
That's fine. Through Mr. Mayor, the business case preparation that we have to do for West Invest, there's the scoping components, and then there's a whole lot of that. So, which we have to comply with, which is fine, but it won't add any value to the process. So you'll get a 25-page document for each of those, which is fine, but, you've got to read them in conjunction with the scope and the plans that they develop. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just, my issue, my concern is that, for example, if we don't put in the business case, rectification of drainage issues,
We've got the note.
then, you know, once the funding comes, and this has happened in the past, so I think I'm learning from experience now. If it's not in writing, it doesn't get done. You know,
Different,
it comes
new direction,
forward,
councillor.
forward when, you know, going forward, and it's like, oh, no, sorry, councillor, it wasn't go, we didn't put it in, and so it can't be done. So I just want to make sure that it actually, you know, it's in there, that's all.
That's fine. So I just might add, so the West Invest funding requires jobs to be started by 2024 and completed by 2026. So when the funding is announced, you have time then to properly scope, lay out your plans, have your community consultation, further community consultation, and get the stuff in that you want to within the budget constraints before you build.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll come back to council. We've got notes that the drainage and the area park gets amended. Yeah. If you just have on the note there, drainage issues, Begnell, Oval. Just a second, yeah. And that's it.
Like the lighting in this room is amazing.
Yeah, we did a bit of work on the electrical work.
Oh, Steven, you're all in the dark from up here.
Could you just note the council changed in there as well?
Okay, any further debate, councillors?
Nothing, crazy.
No further debate. I'll put to you, councillors. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay. CCS5, ordinary council meeting, page 287. Moved by Councillor Blackmore, seconded Councillor Pennsylvania. Any debate, councillors?
No,
No debate.
oh, there's an amendment.
An amendment.
Is there?
What amendment would you like to make, Councillor
Hang
Pennsylvania?
on 1 second, I've got to find it first. So, my first amendment is the scheduling of that, right, okay, got it. Okay, so in the first amendment to the ordinary council meetings for 2023, I wish to change the first Tuesday in November to the second Tuesday in November in the 2023 meeting.
And October,
Why October?
long weekend.
No, we manage it on the long weekend. No, we can't change, no, I have only one amendment, and that's to change the November meeting to the second week. And, in the councillor workshop schedule for 2023, starting the 17th of January, the workshops I recommend, because of staff issues and because of the late nights that we've been having, that our workshops, commence at 9:30 a.m.
On the third Tuesday, is that
On
right?
the third Tuesday, yeah.
Sorry, which workshop is that?
That's on page
Councillor
291.
workshop schedule? So you're saying here, councillor workshop schedule, January, the third
January, or
Tuesday?
for the whole year, that the notes and the dates that have been noted in our business papers, instead of the 4:30 start time, that we change it to the 9:30 a.m. start time because of the lateness that we've been going, and it's not fair on our council staff and some of the councillors who have small families at home that need to be there. So 9:30 a.m. is my recommended time for workshops. Thank you.
Okay, so is that the councillor workshop
Shop,
schedule 2023?
yes. All the workshops should be starting at 9:30 a.m.
So,
That's a bold,
No, I propose to change to
that's a
that.
bold, move, councillor Pennsylvania, but I will accept your amendment.
Absolutely a bold move, councillor Blackmore. However,
However. So what, no, it's at 4:30, just start at 4:30.
Councillors, please. Councillor Pennsylvania has the floor.
we have tried the 4:30 time slot this year. We have gone to 7:30, 8 o'clock in most of our meetings. We have families who need their mothers at home and who need their fathers at home, young children. We have our general manager who has young children. We have everyone that needs to be at home for their children. And it's not fair on our staff members to be here that late. And I believe that 9:30 is an appropriate time to have the meetings in 2023.
Yeah. Look, councillor Pennsylvania, I will accept that amendment.
Thank you.
Look, I know many times, I have had the workshops at 4:30 and they go till late, and then I actually go to one of my two jobs after that as well.
And I have a lot of functions at night as well.
And I'm getting home sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Oh,
so
another reason why I'm doing it,
context.
I'm missing a lot of functions at night as well, having these late meetings. And my community is very important to me, and attending those functions is a very important part of my job. Thank you very much.
A very good point, councillor.
Yeah, definitely.
No, you go.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move another amendment.
Yes, councillor Mosfett.
And that would be just to shift the 3rd of October council meeting, similar to the November meeting, to the 10th, just for the October period. And that's just because there are many people in this council chamber that have young children at home, and they have a number of commitments. And sometimes what they like to do is take the Tuesday off after the Labor Day weekend. And people probably know that I'm a member of the Labor Party, and, you know, I'd like to celebrate Labor Day as well, and I'm a bit rusty on the Tuesday.
You have the Friday off, councillor.
Oh, yes, but, you know, I think it's important that people with young children have flexibility in this situation. So that's what the
I
amendment.
agree with that amendment, thank you, councillor.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Mayor?
Look, I do, yes, I'll agree with that amendment.
Thank you, Councillor, for my learned friend. Oh my goodness, I have an amendment too.
I don't know, because that's what they do in court.
Oh,
It's the council chamber, it's not a court proceeding.
It's a chamber, it's called a chamber.
no, I don't think
I
so.
know, they do. I've heard it.
Barrister.
Because they have.
Barons, they
Barons.
do.
Because they have.
Oh, right,
I have amendment, actually.
Because they have.
I totally agree with Councillor Bennett. However, I don't think we should do a 9:30, I think we should do a 9 a.m. Let's get it over and done with, first thing in the morning at 9 o'clock. That's starting time, any issues there, 9 o'clock, over and done with by 11, beautiful, fantastic, done, and that will work for me as well, maybe.
I accept that amendment, councillor Hall, 9 o'clock
All
is
right.
a good start for everyone? No, not for you? Oh.
Some people have to do school run, Karen.
You can do it at 9:30.
I think the 9 o'clock, just my comment is that the traffic around this area.
Oh, yes.
No,
Full time?
it's finished. 9 o'clock, I'm sorry, point of order, I leave home at 9 o'clock every single morning, just to miss the, school run, and I can assure you that 9 o'clock, there is no traffic.
But, councillor Hall, can I just suggest something? If you leave at 9 o'clock, you don't arrive until 9:15, so that's not 9 o'clock.
No, I will leave at 2 minutes to 9, and that will get me here on time.
How on earth do you get here in 2 minutes?
I didn't live down the road. 9 o'clock is fantastic.
All right, no, can't accept
I
that.
can't
Sorry.
accept that amendment, sorry. There's just hardly the traffic at that time,
Yeah, of course,
councillor.
yeah.
And we don't want to, you know, if our staff run late or something like that, you never know circumstances. So we're not accepting that. We've got 9:30, we've got the extra October meeting, as the date change, councillor, November change. Any further debate, councillors?
Yes,
Oh, yes, councillor Darcy.
I know that it won't be accepted, but I want to put it on record that.
Well, you can't, please,
Yes, I would like to say that either this 4:30 p.m. Time slot continues, because it was just moved very graciously only a month ago. And I have known historically the meetings, council workshops have taken either on the weekend or after hours. So if some of the councillors who think for various reasons cannot attend at 4:30 p.m., maybe we can move it to the weekends.
Are you serious, councillor Dada? Did you just hear my reason?
It is not about the one person's visit, I'm talking about
the council.
Yes, right. So weekends, or.
Real estate agents are very busy on the weekends. You can't do that. The mayor is very busy as a real estate agent on Saturday. That's why he does most
I
of
am
his sales.
extremely busy on weekends. I've worked
And our
Saturday and
street
Sunday.
Councillors,
And our street meetings,
there's an election campaign coming in, they'll be out working for Labor, she'll be for One Nation.
that's it, so forget it.
And, or maybe on the, maybe 7:30, if we are so busy on the weekend, we cannot, our weekends are busy, we do not want to be here in the evening, maybe we can start early, 7:30.
Councillor Dada, point of order. Councillor Dada, point of,
Happens.
I'm with you. Councillor Dada, point of order. Are you two asking council officers to come here every Saturday morning at 7:30 for a workshop.
There is no point about it. I didn't say 7:30 on the weekend. No point about it.
Am I?
So I'm saying that if we can, on the work day, if these meetings, when the workshop is happening, maybe we can start, if we cannot stay late, and then we can start early. Maybe they can, if you start 7:30, we can get off 3 o'clock or 3:30. They can get off if they need time. So instead of on the week workshop starting at 9 o'clock, we could start early at 7:30.
So you just said 7:30, look, I can't accept that, councillor Data. Councillor Pennsylvania? No, let's not accept it, councillor Data.
Okay, it was just moved 4:30 p.m. a month ago, and now
A month ago.
now it's just a
3 months ago, Councillor.
not really. But anyway, we are not talking about all the 3 months or 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about it has always been, it was happening at 2 o'clock or something around that time. And then we moved to 4:30 p.m. so that others could attend. It looks like is that we do not want anybody working full-time attend this councillor workshop. That's what it would look to me. We cannot stay late, then we can come for early. That's my point. I would not support this motion. I would support that if we move it to 7:30. That's for my record as well. I understand.
Okay, so not accepted. So, look, there are probably, my comment would just be that there may be some councillors who would like things at a certain time and like to inconvenience other people, but then when they get called upon by say the state member or the federal member to attend something, they're always possibly available. But happy to inconvenience the other councillors. So, if there's no further debate, councillors, I'll put... Oh, Councillor Chai, yes.
I just want to confirm that, is it all the worship time is at 9:30 or just on January?
No, all the year.
The whole
All
year.
the year.
Yes.
I think, as a councillor, don't laugh, as a councillor, it's a part-time job.
It's becoming a joke.
It's a part-time job.
I'm not gonna.
It's a part-time job. Why you put the working hours? I just wondering, what's the reason, as a part-time job, you want to put a meeting in the working hours?
It's becoming a joke, really.
I think councillors, then there is an option as well. Some people who, if they've got that flexibility, they can come to the workshop and then go to work and do a later shift.
And also, it's all still online. You can
And
still
it is
come in
online, you can log
online.
in.
Maybe they are still on the way to work.
So that was a comment, Councillor Chai?
I have a question to the chair.
Yes.
I guess maybe, sorry, Mr. General Manager. I think that maybe something that could be made very clear, and I don't know, and I will take advice on whether it should be added, that it's a problem. It's going to be a problem for us, and I'm going to be asking questions that, because though I do go online, the sound is so bad. I can hear the people that are online. So if, like last time, Councillor Reddy was online, I could hear her personally. So if you're online, I can hear you perfectly. But if you're sitting at the end of the table, it's muffled, it's really hard to hear. So I think, is there an opportunity, and I suppose there is there an opportunity for councillors like myself, like Councillor Data, we get the papers, and if there is something that is of concern to us, or we want more information, that the officers are made available for us to basically have a personal, 15-minute, 10-minute briefing. I think that might be what we may have to do. And we could coordinate it, so there's 2 or more councillors that weren't able to be there. Is that something that is unspoken? Does it need to be in writing, or is it something that we need to put down?
It's available now.
If it's not in writing, it doesn't get done. That's my motto.
Through the chair, I think all councillors know that you're more than welcome to put any questions through me, and I'll organise for you to be provided with the information that you need from the officers.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll just make a comment that as the Mayor, my door's always open, unless I close it.
Because my issue is, I guess, it's not like when I look at the paper, when I look at the paper, and I do read the workshop papers all the time. So when I read the paper, I have to admit, sometimes I'm like, the questions don't come to me. And it's not until maybe, one of the directors is standing in front of me, explaining, okay, this is what this was about, and then I have all these questions. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And I don't want to have to email a whole bunch of questions to the general manager, and then the general manager emails them to me, and then we get email back, because, by the time I can read my email, honestly, it's like a week later. So it's like, no, I just want to sit down, I want to go through the workshop and have my own, if I have to have my own little private, with Councillor Dada, both of us can have our duo private session for 20 minutes, that is what we're going to have to do it, because there is too much packed into these workshops. It's not, the old workshops might have been 2 or 3 issues, there is so much into these old things.
We weren't getting any information.
Which is fine, which I'm not complaining at all, but it is an issue, and then I come here to council, and I don't know why things are being put, because I wasn't able to hear through and it just makes, and honestly, it doesn't just make me look silly, it makes the whole council look silly. It's like, oh, well, what happened? So I'd rather just have...
Point of order, Councillor, it does not make the whole council look silly.
Well, it does when you're picking on somebody that it works the time and can't be at the workshop. It just looks silly. So that's what I'm actually asking. So I don't want to send an email with this issue 5 questions, this issue 5. No. I want to be able to have a briefing. Now, you can be present, I don't care if you're present, but we need to have a briefing. Now, is that something that councillors can do anytime, anyway, with an appointment? Or do you need it in writing as a policy?
Can I, look, Councillor Hood, in terms of the workshops, I think we've also got to be mindful of the executive time and the staff's time. So, more than happy where the staff are able to accommodate an additional briefing, but it would be quite time consuming for us to have an individual briefing for every single councillor. And for me, it's actually very important that 4 councillors receive the same information at the same time and hear the same questions. So certainly take on board your comments about the audio and the audio visual equipment in the meeting rooms. I have been talking to the IT department, and that is something that we do want to address. Where the directors are able to accommodate a separate briefing, and I would suggest that's not for all topics,
no.
It's for topics where you have specific questions where it requires further clarification. I'm sure the directors will be able to make their time available to do that, but I don't think it's reasonable for me to give a commitment on the floor here in the council meeting that that's going to be a standard practice.
Could we put cameras on both sides, or the microphones on both sides, because it's true that...
I think this is stuff we can talk about offline.
When you're sitting on this side, you can hear, but when
The IT department is looking at that, councillor.
Okay, so I'll put it to you, councillors, all those in favour?
I got my October, I'm happy.
Okay, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Chai, Councillor Hall, Councillor Pentabini, Mayor Blackmore. Against? Councillor Dada, Councillor Nasrun, I declare it carried.
Oh, I should have voted for you guys, but I'm happy to be it.
Please. Okay, CCS7, New South Wales Local Government Election.
Voted no.
Moved by Councillor Nasrun, second by Councillor Reddy. CCS7.
294.
Page 294.
Oh, no, it's not. It's,
294.
294.
So, moved by Councillor Nasrun, second by Councillor Reddy. Yes, debate councillors.
Councillor Nasrun, what's your objection?
I've just got a question, Ms. Mayor, very quickly, which is that this effectively means that the returning office is moving, as I understand it, because at the last election was at Hampstead Road and Hamish West.
That's what I want to know.
Is there a reason for that?
Through the chair, this was the proposal put forward by the electoral office for that relocation. We didn't advocate for that, so we're recommending that we accept that, but council is well within its rights to object to it and request that it be located within the area.
Just in the circumstances, I would move to amend it that the council actually writes the electoral commission to indicate that it objects to the proposal, and for the simple reason that residents here would prefer to have an additional voting place within the LGA. So whether the electoral commission.
I would just point out that there may be an additional cost. So if they do not allow us to participate as part of the joint office, and they do carve us out separately as Strathfield, so there may be an additional cost for an individual returning officer.
Okay.
Well, my question is, when they say returning officer of Burwood, so is the, because years ago, the returning officer actually used to be in Burwood.
In 2017, yeah.
It used to be in Burwood. That was annoying, I have to say. That was a nightmare. The position there was pretty bad. If they're talking about combining the beautiful amalgamation of Burwood, Canada Bay and Strathfield, and having one return officer for those three councils, that's a big area for one returning officer.
But they did that last time, council.
And I'm talking about for us, and that's a big area for us to have to go to Burwood or Canada Bay. We don't know.
Just point of order, Councillor Hall. The returning office this time service those three council areas.
In
Hampstead
Road.
Road. The returning office was in the Burwood Library building in the 2017 election, which serviced the three council areas. So I think it's just a change to maybe change back to the other location.
It doesn't give you an extra voting area either.
Oh, sorry, I've misunderstood.
No, it doesn't give you an extra voting area. All it does is that the returning officers are in Burwood, looking after Strathfield, Burwood and Canada Bay councils, where you lodge your nominations, where you lodge your applications. But for pre-poll, it's always at Strathfield Council, and then we have our local area booths as normal. And so it doesn't give you an extra voting area.
I've misunderstood that.
Yeah. So my issue is that we had, last election, we actually had quite a few issues, and the returning officer has been called upon quite a number of times. So I actually would like to see I would like to see a returning officer remain in Strathfield. That's my preference.
So, are we objecting to this proposal, Councillor Swarren, your amendments?
Yes.
Yeah.
So move it.
I'll second it.
Councillor Reid is seconding it.
Oh.
Can I make an amendment there? Just make a further amendment. Object to the proposal located returning officer.
I just told you why.
My returning that.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just clarify? I reject the amendment and whatever amendment
you're rejecting the amendment that you had proposed.
Yeah.
So back to the substantive.
We're going back to the original.
Yeah,
Okay.
on what we're.
So you
Indicated support for the proposal.
returning officer at Burwood.
Yeah, no, I was completely
Why?
mistaken. I thought we only got the
Because you
Hampstead
can
Road voting.
come from Strathfield, all you've got to do is ring them and they're here.
It's all
It's
online now, councillors.
It's the same thing as when you ring them at Hampstead Road, they have to come here. And they roam around anyway.
Okay.
Exactly the
Any
same.
further debate, councillors? No, I'll put it as originally proposed. Moved by Councillor Maswara, second by Councillor Reddy. All those in favour, councillors? Yes,
Did the lights go up?
Councillor Hall? Sorry,
Who turned the lights off?
Councillor Hall, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Did the
unanimous.
lights go up?
Yes.
Okay, next one.
CCS8, to page 295. Moved by Councillor Pensabini,
I can see
seconded
you.
by Councillor Reddy. Debate, councillors?
Yeah, I have a question. Why is this necessary?
What's this?
Mr.
Oh,
Neighbour?
It is, yeah. I've read the act. So as far as I'm aware, the general manager already has all the delegations according to the act to act during the holidays. So I don't know why is this necessary?
And if the general manager gets hit by a bus?
We haven't had it in the past. We haven't had it in the past.
Sorry, general manager, you've always got to have a hit the bus back. You've always got to have a hit the bus tonight.
Appoint an acting general manager.
There is acting.
So
general.
if the general manager has, if the general manager has a, you know, he's by bus next
Acting
week,
general
do you need, do you
No,
need a
there is
motion?
there is
There is an acting, so it's,
But who
according to
appoints
the
it?
act,
When I've got no delegation to appoint an acting general manager.
you, then you call an urgent extraordinary meeting, and that's what you can do. I'm sorry, I've read the act, and everything in the act, everything that we need to do during the school
Councillor
holidays
Hall, get
has
over
been.
it. They've done it before. Councillor
No, we
McCarthy
have
did
not,
it
no,
before.
I'm sorry,
We
point of
have-
order, no. I've gone
We
through
have-
all the minutes,
We have Councillor Hall.
I went
What
through the
this actually does is it actually puts
show me
notice-
the minutes.
It actually, I'll get it for you.
No, I want them
it
now
actually
because
puts-
I've gone through the minutes and I couldn't find
Councillor Hall, sit
anything.
down, I've got the floor. It actually, please sit down, I have the floor. It actually also stops the general manager having, any delegation to determine a development application, to determine a application for flat building, to rezone, to subdivide, or enter a lease or license during that period, because
No, excuse me, I'm sorry, but if you actually read the act already says that he doesn't have those delegations unless they're given to him. So, I'm sorry, you need to read the act, Mayor. Read the act, because
you can answer, Mr. General Manager. Councillor Hall's getting a bit rolled up.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
I think you're being rude.
So this practice is actually quite standard across most councils.
With popular-elected mayor.
No,
Yeah, I've read some minutes.
not at the councils that I've worked with, I've never had a popularly elected mayor. So every council I've worked at, the councils have always provided, this form of delegation during the recess period. You're right in saying that as general manager, I do actually have most of those delegations and can deal with council business. I think it would be good practice though for council to still have the mayor and myself jointly exercise those functions. I think it holds me accountable, and it also gives the council confidence that business can be dealt with if urgent matters do arise during that period. That being said, I wouldn't expect the delegation to be acted upon unless it was urgent.
Okay, so, why isn't this done throughout the whole year? Why doesn't we just do it the whole year?
Sorry?
Well, why not have, if, the reason that I was just given was to have a delegate, to have, you know, accountable, and I get that, you know, always pass with, you know, it's always good to have, you know, somebody on the other side. So why isn't it done throughout the whole year? Why do we need this through the holidays? And what, if any urgent business comes up, then, and a councillor's not going to know anything about it. And what...
Councillor Hall, point of order. Point 3 says that a full list of any matters considered under such delegation is submitted for council information to the meeting to be held on Tuesday, 7th of February 2023.
That's after this.
So any decision that has been made, it is accountable, it is reported.
No, excuse me, and I think that's the
Councillor
problem. We don't want to know, we don't want to know after it's already happened. We want to know before it happens. Do you guys want to know stuff before it happens? I mean, it's like a resident. A resident wants to know before, in consultation, they want to know before we make decisions. They don't want to know after we make the decision. So...
Point of order, please.
Yes, Councillor.
Yeah.
I have been now councillor since 2017, and I've had 5 Christmases since that time. And I don't think there has been any matters over the Christmas period and any urgent matters over the Christmas period that's been dealt with by the general manager alone. So it hasn't.
So your point of order is, so everything that I've just been told now, you've just contradicted everything you said, so then why do we need it?
Because we do have to have it in case of a hit the bus situation.
But we haven't been hit the bus all the time.
No, we don't.
Yes,
Because we have a
do.
full council sitting at all times, councillor. Are you going to be here every day over Christmas?
If you call an urgent extraordinary meeting, then all you need is a quorum.
Oh, Nella. Just give it up. Just give it up, Nella.
It wouldn't matter who is, and this, Mayor, this is not a personal to you, okay? It's not a personal to, it's...
Definitely not.
No.
You know what? It's not very helpful when you people can't get along and just accept debate for what
Councillor
debate.
Hall, I get along with,
So you need to, hang on, excuse
all
me.
the councillors
So
here.
it's not very helpful when I'm just debating and I'm entitled to debate and I'm entitled to represent the people that vote for me. And I can assure you, the people that
Do
vote for
you
me
want the
want to
delegation,
have,
councillor Hall?
they want to have transparency. And all I'm saying is, I don't understand for the life of me why we need this. The Act is very, very clear. There is nothing, this doesn't add anything to what can already be done. And if you're saying, well, he hits by the bus or whatever, well, what's the difference? Well, what's the difference? Then we need this sort of delegation the entire year. And when you say there's a full list of matters considered, well, what matters? What are the matters that we're talking about? What's the urgent matters? Councillor Data needs a ranger to go down to Hudson Park. Is that an urgent matter? Who does he ring for that? These are serious questions. There is no transparency if we don't get answers to these questions. So who does Councillor Data, this is a real question, who does we call if a resident rings us and says something happened at Hudson Park, and the after hours number doesn't quite work all the time. In fact, many times it doesn't work. So who do we ring? Do we ring the mayor or do we ring the general manager? That's a real question.
Ring me anytime, councillor.
Through the
Oh,
mayor,
lovely.
Councillor Hall, for all operational issues, which are the ones that you've just described.
Yeah.
They would always come through to me and to the officers to deal with. What this is dealing with is if there's an emergency, so for example, if there's a fire or a flood in the area, and a decision needs to be made on the ground.
But we don't do that now. We don't need councillors now. That's why I'm
If there needs to be an urgent decision made at council and we're not in a position to be able to convene a council meeting, it provides for that delegation to be dealt with. Okay, and it's only going to be used in an emergency.
Okay, just question.
Out of session.
Can I please have an example of an emergency? And when it comes to a flood, when it comes to flood, we had flooding in Strathfield the last couple of years. We actually had some really major flooding. I can assure you, I had no general manager ring and call an extraordinary meeting going, we need to have an urgent extraordinary meeting to deal with this flood issue.
That's the point, it probably won't happen, councillor Hall.
So that's what I'm trying to work out is, what are the issues? What are the urgent issues?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, councillor Reddy.
Give an example.
Example is, if there is a hail, and
If
lots
there
of
is a-
hail and floods and everything, lots of roofs are damaged. Roofs are damaged.
Right.
SES would like to come to your local area, exactly established, stay there and work. So, we were having a chat about the Dakin Centre being an emergency spot where emergency services could be located there. For a temporary reason, who would take this decision?
It doesn't come to council.
It has to come to council because it's council property and council has to provide the place for emergency services to make a temporary hall.
And that's so my question and point of order.
Until you have something personal against the mayor being in charge, because most of the councillors, we go on holidays, we are on family trips. I might not be going overseas, I might be going to Queensland. So don't expect me to come back because I have a young family too.
What I'm saying is...
And if we chose the mayor, if we don't trust our own mayor and...
The general manager doesn't need this. The general manager does not need this.
It's always two is better than one, isn't it?
I think, may I suggest, Mr. Mayor, that if that is so, we can also do it through an out-of-session environment. It's quite common in the public sector where decisions, when the people are not in office, on weekends and all that, out-of-session decisions are made. You send the decision via email, majority votes count, it can be done through out-of-session arrangements.
What if you don't reply in that?
Majority votes, that is a common practice.
You need a quorum,
Yeah, majority would apply, of course.
So, the example of...
Councillor, I've been very, very lenient with allowing you to speak.
I have a question.
Many times.
No, you have another question. So, the scenario that Councillor Reddy put up, does that come to council? Because that doesn't come to council.
No, it does come to council.
It has never come to council. Any
Let Councillor Hall talk, she's in a
issue,
mood to talk tonight. And
any SES issue, when they have had, we've had flooding here, it's never come to council. We have to be, what's the, I don't
So
understand
councillor, are you
why.
saying to withdraw this, recommendation?
Yes, because
Oh,
the
is
general
that your-
manager already has all
Okay.
the delegations it possibly needs.
All right, so you want to withdraw the whole recommendation?
Yeah, but it doesn't,
Okay,
we
that's
don't need
your,
it.
that's your point of order. Is that right?
Yes, but that is exactly what I want,
Do you-
but
no, okay.
the other, I want an example. And I want a point four of what it is that is going to happen if there is a flooding issue and councillors need to be notified. Well, what's going to be the process? It can't be, I'm sorry, I just don't get it, because it's not happened before.
It has, councillor, there's point of order, it has happened.
And there is no emergency that,
It
yeah.
has
You know
happened,
what? We all received an email from the general manager. I remember this happening. It was about 3 years ago, 2018.
We didn't vote. It was not a vote.
It doesn't matter. We were told
Not
that
during
a general
Christmas.
manager and the
I'll-
mayor had
I'll
delegations
bring you in.
in the period of the Christmas period. We were told. And that's why our new general manager is more transparent and he gives it to the councillors to vote. And I think that's the way to do it. I don't want to be told the which way we're going.
Can I just say, councillor Hall, whatever conspiracy theory you're coming up with again,
Yeah.
I didn't know about this until I saw it in the business papers.
There is no conspiracy
So,
theory.
get over it, you've
There is-
spoken. Anyone, any further debate other than anyone who's spoken, councillors?
Smith.
Yes, councillor Moses.
I do apologise.
Thank you,
No,
councillor.
but just a very quick question,
Mhm.
because I'm obviously, this is my first term on council.
Mhm.
What's the distinction between what's being proposed here and the current arrangements that have been in place for council?
What do you mean?
Exactly.
What has been done previously for, for example, what was the arrangement last year for the delegation of
Well, I
authority
believe
during
the,
that
there was
period?
There was
delegation.
only
as well.
one delegation,
And that was to the
the
general
general
manager.
manager.
And-
Nothing changes.
Well, no, there's no, it didn't go because
It
the
didn't
general
come to
manager had a
council
full
because the general
delegation.
manager had a different type of way of working. We were told what we were doing. We were told what we were doing from our last general manager. This is a general manager that's transparent and open to our council, and he's put it in the business papers to make sure we know who's going to be in the delegation when we're all on holiday. And I accept that proposal.
And the mayor's not going on holiday.
Well, no, it doesn't matter if the mayor is on holiday.
He'll delegate it to you.
And
Well,
that's
we're just
delegated to
gonna
me.
go to, the deputy mayor if I'm unavailable.
I think it should be an out of, I like,
Councillor, you've spoken, councillor, you've spoken, you've all spoken except for councillor Chide. Councillor Chide,
So he
I'll
hasn't
allow
had
you
his-
to finish to
he
speak.
hasn't had his question answered.
I told you.
You're okay?
I
Oh, you
exactly
told me.
what.
Okay,
I answered your question.
I'll put the motion, councillors, all those in favour, councillor, Manaswaran, councillor Reddy, councillor Pensabini, deputy mayor, Mayor Matthew Blackmore. Against,
Oh my.
councillor Dada, councillor Chai, councillor Hall, declare it carried.
It's unnecessary.
Thank you. Moving on, waste of time.
Well, we'll be receiving
Councillor
lots of
Hall,
emails
please,
from
Councillor
the
Hall.
mayor.
Oh, I will, but I won't receive
You've
it.
had enough, councillor. I'll give you a warning. PE one, page 298, Sydney Eastern Planning Panel. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Reddy, seconder, councillor Maswaran. Any further debate, councillors?
Yeah, another question.
Sorry, just a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Just regarding the advertising, of the material on C, can we just have some information on how long that ad was published? And
Just through the chair. Actually,
Chair, 28 days.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's it.
that's it. No, any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay. EO3.
No, two.
No, that's
I'll do that then through. EO3.
EO3, Australian Culture and Commerce Association licence request. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Reddy, seconder, councillor Hall. I believe you asked for this to come out. Councillor Maswaran, any debate?
Sweet pleasures. This is EO3. In this respect, and the question is it normal to accept an unsolicited offer to lease a building for council? It just strikes me that this is something that you normally advertise for for rent and to take that rent or the bond.
So that could fit on the 8 square meters.
Yeah, this is an 8 square metre office. The believe that my understanding the gentleman contacted council and looked at another location, and then Mary Rawlings recommended this location, so it was sort of on a word of mouth sort of basis. Can I get some comments? We're taking a notice.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, perhaps, how many square metres?
I think it's about 8 square metres.
8 square metres.
Okay. Just a question through the chair. Just with these licences, just want to ensure, through the director, just to ensure that all the proper legal processes in relation to this are followed. With if there's any, I know with some licences or leases, you need to. I don't know the legislation 100%, but you do need to advertise the fact that you're entering into an agreement, and I don't know whether this comes in under that or the situation. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to take that on notice through that department.
Yeah, we can do that.
Just to ensure that just to ensure that the appropriate legislation followed. Okay. Any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put it to you. Who's in favour? Unanimous? Okay. Now, yeah, I'm in closed session. Second, councillors.